Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. Today's material is about noun and verb phrase in syntactic perspective. Before we start our presentation, let us introduce ourselves. My name is Ummun Nadha, and my friend is
Miranda Deviana.
And before we talk about noun phrase and verb phrase, we talk about syntax first. Syntax is the part of grammar that studies how words are arranged to form meaningful phrase and sentence. Words don't stand alone and they follow specific patterns. A key focus of syntax is phrase, groups of words with around a main head word. Two of the most important types are the noun phrase and the verb phrase. In short, syntax helps us understand how noun phrase and verb phrase are formed, what elements they include, and how they function in English. Sentence structure as subject, object, or prepositional object. It can be complement too. So in here, syntax is the part of grammar that studies how words are arranged. So it means now we talk about noun, how noun and verb phrase are arranged and what their function. Next, noun phrase. The definition of noun phrase is a word or group of words that function in a sentence as subject, object, or complement. So noun phrase is a group of words that function in a sentence as subject, object, or complement. As we can see, this is a noun phrase, so it includes noun in it. I take two quotation from two experts. The first is as would. The definition of noun phrase is a noun combined with other words in a noun phrase. It can be that determiner, quantifiers, and modifiers come in a fixed order before the noun. So according to Ashwood, noun phrase is a noun combined with other words and come in a fixed order before the noun. While from Muhammad Arsad et al. In the journal Linguistik Budaya, syntactic analysis of noun phrase on the English translation of Surah Al-Mulk, noun phrase consists of noun or pronoun called the head and includes modifiers that come before or after the head. So according to Muhammad Arsad, the modifiers can come before or after, while Ashwood said that it's come before the noun. Noun phrase in syntactic perspective. There are structure, function, and types of noun phrase. The first, I want to talk about structure. The structure of noun phrase just two: head and modifiers. What is head? Head is noun. So as we can see, the name is noun phrase. So the main point is noun, the head, noun. And the second is modifiers. There are two modifiers. Pre-modifiers, it's typo, pre-modifiers and post-modifiers. Pre-modifiers is words that appear before the head, and post-modifiers is words that appear after the head. And there are three functions of noun phrase. The first is The first is be a subject. For the example, the cat in the chair is sleeping. So the cat in the chair is a subject. And the second is object. For the example, I saw a striped zebra. So a striped zebra is an object. I is a subject, saw is a verb, and a striped zebra is an object. And the last is complement. For the example, my brother is talented musician. Talented musician is complement for my brother. And last, types of noun phrase. There are three types of noun phrase that I get from Google. The first is by structure and complexity. There is simple, expanded, and a positive noun phrase. And by modifier, there is pre-modifier and post-modifier. And the last other type is compound, gerund, and pronominal noun phrase. And the next is example. I take example from the journal, Muhammad Arsad et al. I take it from Al-Mulk, 26. So say Muhammad, the knowledge is with Allah only, and I am only a plain learner. So a plain learner in here is a noun phrase. Why? The plain learner in here function as a complement from this. I am only a plain learner. The A in sentence, a plain learner is a determiner, or we can say it's article. And plain, the word plain is an adjective, and the word learner is a noun, or we can say is the head. It's the main point. Okay.
And the next is what's a verb phrase. A verb phrase is the head of the sentence. Since the verb determines the form of the whole structure, a sentence is a verbal expression with all other elements subordinate to the verb phrase. Verb hold sentence together, and the definition of sentence requires the presence of a verb. So that's why a verb phrase is the head of the sentence. Without a verb phrase, the sentence is not complete as well as we want to explain. So here, a verb phrase itself, it can explain everything after the a verb phrase, like complement or subordinate, and all other elements subordinate to the verb phrase, because verb phrase here is so important to explain the whole sentence itself. And the next is verb phrase in syntactic perspective. There are so many that divide by syntactic perspective. Here we can see that what a verb phrase contains based on syntactic perspective. For the first, we know that verb phrase contain internal grammatical chains. We can know and we can define as a tense, aspect, past, and agreement. And for the second, verb plus external elements that the verb requires, like object, complement, and adjust. Internal structure itself of the verb phrase is like a tense or number, past, aspect. Tense or number, we can define verb like eat to be eats, and the past have plus en to be has eaten, and aspect itself like be plus ing, like is eating. It is completely understandable if we see what is the internal structure itself. It's just like a tense, past aspect, just like a grammatical rules that change. So we need to use that to make sure when we use that verb phrase. And then external structure of the verb phrase. There are elements, or we can say external added, because the verb needs them to complete the sentence. So the sentence will completely understandable if we put this external structure of the verb phrase. For the first, like object, example, eat crabs. So the crabs itself is the complement that actually complete the object, the verb eat. So eat crabs is its complete sentence that we know that people eat the crabs. And for the second, complements. It just same, but we use like a happy, tired, like an adjective for complete our sentence. You are happy. That's just simple. We can define as a complement that we need to make a sentence more complete. And the last is adverbials. It's just the same as before, just like a complete our sentence. For example, work all day. The all day is this complement or adverbials to complete our sentence, to make it more understandable and complete. There are so many types of verb phrase. For the first, intensive verb phrase, which is like we talked before, we put the adjective to make our sentence more complete, like seem tired, be happy. And second, intransitive verb phrase, verb that actually don't need to put so many complement because the verb itself already has a meaning, like a love, continued. It just has a meaning before we put complement, other complement. So we don't need complement anymore to make the verb has a meaning again. And the third monotransitive verb phrase. Same as before, we just complete with the object, saw him at grapes. Fourth, distractive verb phrase. It simply explains that we have a two object. So the verb itself explains two object in the sentence. Gave me a gift. So gave itself as the verb and a me as object and a gift itself as object also object. So we have a two object here. Gave me a gift. Gave me a gift. And the last complex transitive verb phrase is more complex. We put complement more than two, like a lady, him, president. Put the book on the table. So it's not just only one object, but it's more and more complex. So we can see here for the example of verb phrase, the bold one is represented as verb phrase. So the last one is conclusion. A sentence is mainly built around the verb phrase because the verb shapes the whole structure and is required for a sentence to exist. A noun phrase has a noun or pronouns as its head and can act as the subject, object, or complement in the sentence. So it's important to us to understand about this topic because we will understand how our sentence will be more complete, more perfect when we understand this topic. So thank you for pay attention of our presentation. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.